Life imprisonment for not serious enough crimes. Those who commit assault and other smaller felonies should not be jailed for life. All assault shouldn't be life without sentence, especially when you have special reason and circumstance, and shouldn't be any long extensive sentence for multiple crimes with a felon. Life imprisonment is any sentence of imprisonment for a serious crime under which the convicted person is to remain in prison for the rest of his or her life or until paroled. Or not. Crimes for which a person could receive this sentence include murder, attempted murder, severe child abuse, rape, espionage, high treason, drug dealing, vandalism, human trafficking, severe cases of fraud, aggravated cases of burglary or robbery, resulting in death or grievous bodily harm. Okay, so rape a life sentence, drug dealing life, child abuse okay, vandalism life seems a bit too far, grievous bodily harm in robbery life, you commit 2 crimes, you steal twice and then assault someone 3 strikes, you're out for life. Even in special circumstances, no exceptions, 3 strikes law under some 3 strikes laws. A broad range of crimes ranging from petty theft to accidental attempted murder or harm can serve as the trigger for a mandatory or discretionary life sentence in California. Notably, the U.S. Supreme Court on several occasions has upheld lengthy sentences for petty theft including life with the possibility of parole and 50 years to life, stating that neither sentence conflicted with the ban on cruel and unusual punishment in the 8th Amendment to the United States Constitution. Also, fraud is a life sentence and espionage like Bradley Manning for being a whistleblower. That's what's happening. They're taking cases that should be exceptions and twist them into life sentences. People shot people sometimes not to kill, but they will get life. Or even a crazy person causes bodily harm, life sentence. Even if it's for a good reason. Like they hurt your friend. They call shooting someone or causing harm attempted murder / even when it's not an attempt to murder. Or outright and when someone's out of control. Or less. Not an attempt. Just harm. For good reason. Cops do it all the time, taking justice in their hands and abuse people. Should we call them attempted murders? I think not. Unless they cross a line that's a real attempt to kill for no duty reason at all. Out of line. The U.S. has the world's largest population behind bars and leads in life sentences as well, at a rate of 50 people per 100,000 residents in prison for life. Some technically finite sentences are handed out, especially in the United States, that exceed a century and thus are seen as being symbolic life sentences without indefinite life extension. Nobody would ever be able to live long enough to serve those sentences. Unlike other areas of criminal law, sentences handed to minors do not differ from those given to legal adults. A few countries worldwide allow for minors to be given lifetime sentences that have no provision for eventual release, and the United States does that. 2,500 people in USA have life sentence for crimes as child or teen, under adult, or a combination of strikes to recognize sentence towards life latter. Strikes such as stealing get people life. Assault, any kind, even beat them up partly half to death, shouldn't be life without sentence, especially when you have special reason and circumstance. And in a fight, if the person you fight committed a crime, crossed a line, hurt a friend or you, and you assault them for that in a fight, is still considered life imprisonment with strikes, and should not be that way. Or petty felony crimes shouldn't be life without, especially to juveniles, or adults for that matter. And if you're an accessory or in a group of people and commit a crime, you get life imprisonment even when it's not all your fault. The common law divided participants in a felony into 4 basic categories. 1. First-degree principals, those who actually committed the crime in question. 2. Second-degree principals, aiders and abettors present at the scene of the crime. 3. Accessories before the fact, aiders and abettors who helped the principal before the basic criminal event took place. And 4. Accessories after the fact, persons who helped the principal after the basic criminal event took place. In the course of the 20th century, however, American jurisdictions eliminated the distinction among the first three, meaning first three all are crime and is the same crime even if it isn't. It is in the USA, the property owner. For example, Virginia treats both common law burglary, the breaking and entering of a dwelling house at night with the intent to commit larceny, assault and battery, or any felony therein, and statutory burglary, breaking and entering with further criminal intent but without the dwelling house or time elements, such that the definition applies to break-ins at any time and of businesses as well as of dwelling houses as felonies. Additionally, driving while intoxicated in some states may be a misdemeanor if a first offense, but a felony on subsequent offenses. A person convicted in a court of law of a felony crime is known as a felon. In the United States, where the felony-misdemeanor distinction is still widely applied, the federal government defines a felony as a crime punishable by death or imprisonment in excess of 1 year. If punishable by exactly 1 year or less, it is classified as a misdemeanor. Felony crimes that get people life and should not: aggravated assault and/or battery, for any reason or circumstance, in any situation, even mitigating factors, with no mercy rules, and assault and fight, burglary, tax evasion, various forms of fraud, the manufacture, sale, distribution, or possession with intent to distribute of certain types and/or quantities of illegal drugs, grand larceny or grand theft, i.e., larceny or theft above a certain statutorily established value or quantity of goods, vandalism on federal property, obstruction of justice, perjury, check fraud, copyright infringement. 2. Mail and wire fraud, violating parole, probation, or recognizance bond, threatening an official, police officer, judge even when they act wrong. No exceptions. I think should be exceptions. Corrupt cops abuse this. Unfair maybe this one. Okay is manslaughter, so look out drunk drivers. Life in harsh jail could be around the corner. Okay. Accidental harm, not full incomprehensible or not well-knowing harm. Stooped harm. With 2 other strikes, theft, something small, gets life imprisonment, or at least a big number of years in jail, even if you're a juvenile part of the time. Instead of life without for assault, as attempted murder, under 3 strikes law. Instead no life without sentence, period, and assault attempted as rage, considered as attempted murder. In rage assault, instead of life, release for a short sentence, whatever that may be. Certainly don't keep people 7 years, no far less, and if it's first time assault, then way less, or if it's less than a full attempted murder as assault, then way less, a minor sentence, or with special circumstance for good reason, or under adult or young adult, far less, minor sentence. For attempted passion rage assault, considered as attempted murder, in the heat of the moment, which really isn't an attempt to murder, or is not an outright attempt, whether it was or wasn't, just sentence release for whatever time deserved. Also should have work programs in government-restricted motel camp jails, but restricted, then work or earn freedom privileges, and later get to travel out under restricted trips. See family also. You could be in half the day and also go home for house arrest after some time in, and get to go to restricted towns, sites away from troubled area on notice, accompanied maybe by guardian. And after that more privileges to go out. Stay checked into system motels, part-time or couple hours or so. Check-in, check-ups, to stay under watch part the day, like come and tell them you're going over here and they allow. 2. Crime check-in stations for big crime, and can even detain people there in violations until resolved. Steps to sentence. Then, judge can resolve it, and fully release after sentence is served. So let's change 3 strikes laws, and change tough assault laws in crimes of passion. Not premeditated attempted murder. No, just heat of the moment rage assault. And also for far worse cases, let's put them hours a day in jail for the sentences, and put them Also unrestricted major government motel jail. Some the time. With major more or less restrictions. And work program. In motel job jail. Part the day. Also others. Rehabs and camps. For prisons. And for when anybody does get out. Halfway housing, probation restrictions, rules, and house confinement or house arrest until it's time to fully set them free. Or put on less restrictions. To rehabilitate them back. For people who escape should not majorly punish them for that, certainly not add on to the sentence when they're caught. But finish their sentence with maybe a little extra time for any crimes they commit while out. But certainly not too much for just escape. Just maybe 2 weeks extra for 6 months escape not served. And for crimes in prison, general rule, slap on the wrist sentence, but never life or not even 2 years. Extra depending on severity. Murder in jail, okay, then full sentence unless they're crazy in jail. If not, then a long sentence depending on severity category. And if something else major, then certainly not as much as 3 years or more tacked on. But certainly programs for further study of correcting can be used to stiffen then. To rehabilitate and change. So they can get back to earning a path for more freedom. But if it's something minor or not major, then extra days only. Change 3 strikes laws don't have it. And only sentence for the crime then do the time. And have a freedom path. And for those that are in for just assault, under 3 strikes laws, release, rehabilitate, freedom. Once time for assault is served. Until then, path for freedom. And let's get rid of 3 strikes laws that are wrong.